Today there are a lot of updates from the Bakhmut direction. The most interesting updates come from the northern flank of Chasiv Yar. Here the Ukrainians repelled head-on Russian assaults into the town and forced them to change their approach in an attempt to take it. In the last 2 weeks, this front section was stale, with minimal action from the Russians, which decided to halt all assaults with a brief operational pause. This was done to redeploy and accumulate forces for attacks to the north of the town from the direction of Bohdanivka and to the south from Ivanivske. This decision was made after Ukrainians deployed the elite Kraken Special Operations Unit to the Kanal district of the town, where the bulk of Russian assaults took place. Kraken fighters published a video from Chasiv Yar shortly after their deployment to the area. In the video we can see the conditions that Kraken and other Kanal district troops face. The Russian bombardment was not constant, so the Kraken and other troops relocated around the town in armored vehicles to their assigned firing positions. The troops that were moving on foot must exercise caution from Russian artillery and drone strikes, so they must run fast in small groups to avoid being hit. At times of heavy aerial bombardment and artillery shelling, basements of residential buildings are used as shelters for troops to wait out until it is over. We can also see a Kraken fighter firing an 84 shoulder-fired anti-tank weapon from the position in a high-rise building. AT-4 has an effective firing range of 300 meters, implying that Russians managed to get close to Ukrainian positions during their assaults. At the same time, Ukrainian artillery and drone operators provide fire support to the forces in the Kanal district, suppressing detected Russian artillery and troop concentrations. In videos published by the 43rd Artillery Brigade, we can see the counter-battery work of German-made Panzerhaubitze 2000 against 3 Russian artillery pieces, D-20, D-30 and a scarce heavy mortar Tilupan. We could also see the destruction of a TOS thermobaric system. This is the most dangerous Russian artillery system and is very scarce, so it is a high priority target for the Ukrainians. As I said in previous reports, Russians had no success storming the front of the town at Kanal residential district, so they made an effort to destroy bridges over the canal. As a result of these operations, Russians did manage to destroy 2 crossings, one in the town and one to the north. However, this only created a short-term supply shortage of heavy equipment, as Ukrainians could fix the bridges quickly. In addition, there are many small makeshift bridges for infantry over the canal, so Ukrainian ground troops have no problem reinforcing the units in the eastern Kanal district. After destroying the bridges over the canal and months of heavy bombardment, the Russians launched a powerful assault on the Kanal district in hopes of a breakthrough and takeover of the high-rise area. However, the assault group of 6 BMD infantry fighting vehicles was quickly detected by drone operators of the Kraken regiment. The drones corrected the fire of the Kraken artillery detachment's M777 artillery operators, which knocked out 2 out of 6 BMDs on the road to Chasiv Yar. With a third of the assault group destroyed, only 4 BMDs loaded with infantry entered the town and dismounted infantry heading for the high-rise buildings. One of the BMDs was destroyed entirely by an accurate shot of the Kraken artillery detachment, killing everyone who was inside and leaving a burning wreck. Subsequently, another BMD was damaged and disabled by precise artillery fire from artillery operators of Kraken, which led to its crew abandoning it. Only 2 BMDs managed to get back to their leading positions, but one of them was yet again destroyed by an accurate artillery shot, leaving only 1 in 6 BMDs to return. A few dismounted infantrymen tried to take positions in the high-rise buildings, but got quickly targeted and destroyed. As a result, the Kraken Special Forces detachment successfully denied any Russian attempts to establish a foothold in the Kanal district. Russians realized it was impossible to push the Kraken forces out of the Kanal district or cut it off from supplies by strikes on the bridges. Therefore, they devised a new plan after 2 weeks of operational pause. Russians focused on the northern and southern flanks of the town to encircle the Kanal district by crossing the canal and moving the fight to the western part of the town. In principle, this way, Russians could advance deep into Chasiv Yar without capturing the problematic high-rise Kanal district. Such flank attacks into the west part of the town would also threaten to cut off the district, so Ukrainians would be forced to withdraw from it. The two directions of flank attacks are directed to parts of the Seversky Donetsk Canal that go underground by a pipeline, so Russians would not need to cross the canal properly. The most intense clashes occurred on the southern flank, where Russians already had some established positions from which they would expand their bridgehead. Here, Russians started by pummeling the Ukrainian positions with TOS thermobaric artillery systems, which not only inflict severe damage, but also suck out the breathable air from the impact area to soften up Ukrainian defenses. Due to Russian superiority in firepower and the intensity of ground assaults, Ukrainians had to withdraw to more favorable positions. This gave the Russians control of a 2-kilometer-long section of the canal, including the section with underground pipes. From these positions, they could start assaulting the canal's other side, threatening the town's western part. For now, the Russians only launched small reconnaissance operations across the canal because they were waiting for the offensive group at the northern flank to reach the canal too. On the northern flank, the situation for the Ukrainians is much more stable. Russians are trying to take the village of Ivanivske to reach the underground canal section for planned flank attack operations in this area. From the direction of Bohdanivka, Russians launched further assaults on Ivanivske, but since they were in the lowlands, all assaults were repelled. Ukrainians took advantage of Russian weakness caused by losses in the assault and launched a series of successful assaults towards Bohdanivka. Ukrainian fighters from the 24th Mechanized Brigade published combat footage showing their counterattack. In the video we can see that a few Russians returned to their positions after the failed assaults, leaving a few of them scared and hidden in their dugouts. Ukrainian fighters used small arms fire and grenades to clear out the dugouts from suppressed Russian fighters. During the cleaning operations, Ukrainian fighters even managed to destroy a few ammunition caches in the dugouts, simultaneously killing additional Russian troops. By the end of their cleaning operations, a single Russian soldier surrendered, likely because no one else survived. As a result of the successful counterattack, Ukrainians managed to enter the southern part of Bohdanivka yet again. This is good for the Ukrainians because Russians will now have to struggle to regain these lost positions to assault Ivanivske again. Without that, they won't be able to establish a bridgehead for further assaults on the northern flank. To prevent Ukrainians from uppercutting their bridgeheads from the Kanal district, Russians advanced from the small forest and took up a few positions in residential areas of houses. Russians also launched a series of minor assaults to the front of the town with a turtle tank and 2 infantry fighting vehicles that unloaded infantry from positions in front of high-rise buildings. The high-rise building overlooking Russian positions in the area was so heavily damaged by bombings to the point it became less sustainable for defense, enabling Russian assault groups to land and take positions in front of it. In other videos we could see a Ukrainian tank firing at Russian positions in the Kanal district, which confirms that Russians established positions there. Overall, thanks to fighters of the Kraken regiment, Ukrainians managed to repulse dozens of Russian assaults in the direction of Chasiv Yar and completely changed the course of the battle for Chasiv Yar. As a result, Russians had to change their plans and switch focus to flank attacks around the town. This only led to a similar situation, where Russians faced well-fortified Ukrainian positions in an advantageous elevated area of Ivanivske, placing their assaults to a halt. If you're against the invasion of Ukraine and you want to support the work that I am doing, consider making a purchase in the online store UA Supporter. Here you can find a lot of products with Ukrainian symbols to not only show your support for this channel, but also for Ukraine. The link to the online store is in the description. Thank you for watching this report, and I will see you in the next one.